What if the story of creation could give us insight when life feels like it is falling apart? There's a reason life sometimes feels chaotic, and it might be the same reason the universe began in darkness. Most people try to fix their life by doing more, but creation doesn't begin with effort, it begins with separation. Hello, and welcome to Bible Stories from the Scrolls. I want to take you on a journey today, not through space, but through time, back to the very beginning of one of humanity's most enduring stories, the 7 days of creation in Genesis chapter 1. Close your eyes for a moment, if you can. Imagine absolute darkness. Not the darkness of night with stars overhead, but the deep, formless darkness the ancient Hebrews called tohu wabohu, without form and void, chaos without meaning or direction. Perhaps you felt something like this in your own life, during depression, after loss, or when everything felt completely out of control. So let me show you how this ancient story can speak into our daily lives. Day 1. The Gift of Boundaries. "Let there be light," speaks the divine voice into the void, and immediately something remarkable happens. Not just illumination, but separation, light from darkness, day from night. When your life feels like that formless void, the first step isn't to fix everything at once, it's to make one simple distinction. This brings light, and this keeps me in darkness. I think of Brittany, who emerged from the darkest season after her divorce. She felt lost in chaos, but every morning she began with one small act, naming one thing that still brought her light: the taste of coffee, her daughter's laugh, a quiet moment of gratitude. That's the quiet power of the first day. Creation begins not with grand gestures, but with sacred, simple distinctions. Day 2. The space between. On the second day, something interesting happens. Waters are separated from waters. The ancients envisioned a firmament, a dome that creates space between the waters above and the waters below. The beautiful thing about this image is that it makes room to breathe. How often in our modern lives do we forget the sacred importance of space between? We pack our schedules until there's no room for spontaneity. We fill every silence with noise, every pause with productivity. But the ancient story shows us, without space between, nothing new can emerge. When was the last time you honored the space between your thoughts, between your words, between your busy moments? Now we reach the third day, and I find this particularly beautiful. The waters are gathered into one place, forming the seas. Dry land appears, but notice, it's not empty or barren. Immediately, the earth brings forth vegetation, grass, herbs yielding seed, fruit trees bearing fruit, each with seed in itself. From chaos, boundaries are set. From flooded formlessness, stable ground rises, and right away, life begins to flourish. This is where I think of my friend Travis. For years, he sat at his easel, tense, forcing creativity to show up. Nothing came. But when he started creating the right conditions, morning walks, times of solitude, honest conversations with other artists, his art began to flow naturally, almost on its own. The ancient story whispers, you don't have to force growth. You just have to create the conditions where growth wants to happen. Day 4. Rhythm and time. On the fourth day, the divine voice speaks again. The sun, the moon, and the stars are placed in the heavens, the greater light to rule the day, the lesser light to rule the night, and the stars also. These aren't just lights, they are timekeepers. They bring rhythm to the ordered world, seasons for planting and seasons for harvest, times for work and times for rest. In our modern lives, we often treat time as an enemy, something that pressures us and constrains us. We try to live in permanent summer, always producing, always on. But the fourth day whispers a gentler wisdom. There is a time for everything. The same God who brought order out of chaos now gives us rhythm we can trust. Honor the cycles. Work with them, not against them. Day 5. The Dance of Life. On the fifth day, the story explodes with movement and life. God speaks, and the waters teem with swarms of living creatures, fish and great sea monsters moving through the seas. Birds fly above the earth across the expanse of the heavens. After the quiet ordering of the first 4 days, suddenly the world is filled with motion and breath. Life multiplies according to its kinds. And notice something beautiful. This new life does not appear alone. Fish swim together, birds fly in flocks. Even from the beginning, living things exist in relationship. This reminds us that we were made for connection with the created world and with one another. Life flourishes best when we recognize we belong to something larger than ourselves. Day 6. The Image of God. Then we reach day 6, and something unprecedented happens. God says, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness," and He creates humanity, male and female, in His own image. He blesses them and says, "Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the heavens and over every living thing." To be made in the image of God means we reflect something of His nature. Just as God brought order, beauty, and life out of chaos, we are called to reflect Him by stewarding what is entrusted to us with care, cultivating what is good, and treating every person with dignity. Every day we get to choose. Will I bring a little more order and goodness into my corner of creation? Will I nurture life in the people and places around me? Day 7. The Sacred Rest. And then comes the 7th day. God finishes His work and rests. He blesses the 7th day and makes it holy, because on it He rested from all His work of creating. In our busy world, rest can feel like a luxury or a weakness, but the creation story presents rest as something sacred, woven into the very rhythm of a well-ordered life. It is not the absence of work, it is the completion and crown of creation. We are invited to honor this divine pattern, work with purpose, then rest with gratitude. So here we are, having walked through all 7 days, from formless chaos and darkness through separation and order, to fruitful land, rhythmic time, teeming life, the dignity of the image of God, and finally, sacred rest. This ancient pattern is not just a one-time event long ago. It echoes in our lives again and again. You may be in your own day 1 right now, needing to name light in the midst of chaos. You may be in day 3, learning to create the conditions where growth can happen. You may be in day 5, rediscovering the joy of connection. Or perhaps you are in day 7, learning the holy practice of rest. Wherever you find yourself, remember this: the same God who brought order out of chaos is still at work, and He invites us to reflect His image by living with purpose, care, and trust in His rhythm. As we close, carry this question with you. What small way is God inviting you right now to reflect His image, whether by bringing order, nurturing life, honoring connection, or resting in His goodness? Thank you for walking through this ancient story with me. I'd love to hear in the comments which day resonates most with where you are right now. Until next time, may you remember who you are, created in the image of God, called to live with dignity, purpose, and rest in Him.